This is a football podcast, man. Meat, football, good. Man, we talk football. We eat burgers.
Welcome back to Scramble Drill, our Dynasty Dive podcast, where we talk about Dynasty, our favorite way to play fantasy football. It is the best. I know there's your redraft, junkies out there, your underdog guys. Dynasty's just more fun, man. It's there isn't another thing that compares to it. I am Ben Watts. Across from me is Landon Davis. Landon, how are we doing?
In life, great. My daughter literally just took her first steps like 2 hours ago.
Oh, did she really?
So that's big. Yeah.
You didn't tell me
2
that.
hours
Yeah.
ago. So that's big.
That's exciting.
Life's going great. A couple fantasy leagues are not doing great, and 3 of them are doing amazing. So I feel okay. Okay.
No, this was.
I'm definitely going to get at least one championship this year. 100% getting at least one. I'm going to get at least one.
In our main 2 leagues, it didn't go great for you. You were already out of the playoffs in Mully. That wasn't a question. You kind of went, and we will talk about this. First of all, in this episode, we kind of got a mixed bag. We'll go over a quick piece of news. We've got some trades that have gone down because that's basically what this whole Dynasty podcast is about, is managing your Dynasty teams in season, planning, strategy, things like that. So with the playoffs coming up, some teams have trade deadlines, some teams don't, leagues don't have trade deadlines, but still trades pop off right now because the playoffs are happening. So we got a lot of trades in different leagues we're in, and that's the thing, that these are leagues that we're in, these trades happened in, so we have context behind them, all that kind of stuff. So we'll go over a few of those, and then we kind of put together a quick list, because we kind of always do this in this episode, because it's important, I think, to think about this kind of stuff as a Dynasty player, of guys that can go up in value this coming off season. So we'll get into that. But yeah, in the League of Ordinary Gentlemen, I think you kind of went, and very smartly, you went all in to win, and I thought you had a legitimate chance. And it's not like your team even was bad. I think you put up like 140 points in that league. The problem is, you just caught an uppercut out of nowhere from the guy you were playing, where he dropped almost 200 points on you.
I got Puka Nacua. What are you going to do?
Yeah, you did.
What are you going to do? I got Puka Nacua. And, the Dolphins game went into overtime. A-Chain was fine, and Tua was not that great. And then they combined for like 17 points in overtime, and then the 4 o'clock window was not kind to me. So that's how it goes, though. That's how it goes.
Buried you. It was the opposite for me. I had 160 points dropped on me in Mully, but turns out it didn't matter, because I won the game by the 4 o'clock. By the end of the 4 o'clock window, I had 160 points put against me, and I had already won the game with Jamar Chase still yet to play.
Ben broke the all-time points in a single game record in Mully this week. He scored 210 points, and that's a shallow league. Like, it's not super flex. It's a one-quarterback shallow league. He broke the record for most points ever because he had Josh Allen and Jamar Chase and Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker was out. Like, I'll throw Zach Charbonnet in there, and he gets 35, 36, whatever he had. So, great week for you.
And it was a must-win. It was a must-win week. Now, it turns out I would have gotten in anyway, even with a loss, because the guy right on my heels, he lost as well, so he couldn't get in because I had more points than him. But still, like, a must-win situation. The guy I'm playing against has a great week, drops 160, and we just dominate and go into the playoffs with all the momentum. Pulled off some big-time trades at the trade deadline in Mully.
Big-time trades.
I'm feeling good. I'm going to feel real bad if I get bounced round 1. I will be one sad boy.
Yeah. Ben traded 3 first-round picks to go all in to win that league. And he's got a really good chance. And if he wins the league, it was worth it. If you don't win the league,
Was it were they that bad of trades?
The owner's
going to
have some questions. No. You're fine. It's not like you went in all in on 30-year-old guys. You're fine.
I didn't like go all in and like all I walked away was Derrick Henry and Devontae Adams. Like,
no. So yeah, but we're not even going to talk about those trades because again, that league is so different. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have any effect. So
we would go in and explain it, but it's so hard.
As in, yeah, we're gonna talk about real trades as in 12-team Superflex. Because that's what's standard. That's what we want to talk about here. So
that's your most the ones we're going to be popular league setting kind of thing.
Right.
Okay. So before we do any of that, I was looking through. There wasn't any like major news or things that happened. Like Breece Hall's banged up, Kenneth Walker's banged up. Situations to monitor. The main one, and it really sucks. I feel bad for the player. I had him in a league. I know you had him in a couple leagues. Jonathan Brooks goes down on a non-contact knee injury. It's the same knee, same ACL he tore last year at Texas. It sucks, man. I feel really bad for him. I feel really bad for his fantasy owners because I don't know where you're at with it, but I'm assuming this is going to set him back like 2 years. Like he's probably not going to play next year, if any at all next year. Maybe he plays at the very, very end. So you're looking at 2026 as your earliest time frame for any sort of value return with Jonathan Brooks?
Yeah, I mean, if you've listened to this podcast, if you're a loyal listener, we've loved him. I was saying go buy him. I was saying he's definitely going to go up in value.
I was saying taking him in redraft leagues. Like get him in your 10th, 11th round. Let him sit on your IR spot, and he could be a league winner.
Well, and then Chuba got the extension, and that really bummed us out. And then obviously this is devastating, man. You feel really bad for him. But he can't be any type of asset you're counting on. He just can't. Like you can't be sitting there with a guy. Maybe if you have a really deep bench, which a lot of leagues do, or you have, if you have 3 IR spots, but if you have 2, like, dude, he's going to be on it for a long time. And when he comes back, you're talking about a guy who's had 2 ACLs in the last 3-4 years. Whenever he comes back, he's not somebody you can ever rely on in fantasy football. Like, I'm not saying he won't be a player that's, like in 2 years he's going to be playing, but he's just not going to be someone you can rely on. I can't sign up for that.
You don't know for sure. Like, he could go on to actually be a good running back because, like, I think he just turned 21 years old. Like, he'll still be 23 years old by the time he's, like, fully 100% to go. So, like, it's not like he's dead in the water, but.
Yeah. It's going to be one of those where he comes back. When he comes back, there's no way they're going to let him lead a backfield. Like, he's going to be in a committee, and that's the type of player that even when he comes back, even with the talent he has, you are going to need to see it for 5 weeks in a row before you can ever feel good about really anything. And so
he'll be in a committee,
I hate it for him.
He's going to have to like way outperform the guy ahead of him or with him.
Right.
He'll have to be Bucky Irving.
For him, man, it's brutal. But that's the breaks. I'm sorry if you listened to me and went and traded for him. I'm sorry about that because you set that on fire. But
well, me and Josh were all in on him too. Like he was one of Josh's favorite players. In the draft, I think Josh was in on Jonathan Brooks before I was. Like, I was a Trey Benson guy, and then kind of slowly came around to Jonathan Brooks, and I was in on him too. But yeah, it sucks, but that's the game we play. We play fantasy football, and that's a risk in real life football, and you run the risk of an injury can happen to any player at any time. You don't want to think about it, but it's a thing. All right. So some trades. I think let's start. We've got our big scramble drill, 12-team, deep lineups, deep benches. It's a big league. 12 league, it's the scramble drill, quote unquote, podcast. It's some good friends of ours are in there, and some really loyal listeners are in there who, took the time out and like listened to the podcast, saw we were advertising it, like, hey, let's go get in there. So I've really enjoyed the league. It's been awesome. I'm excited to keep going with the league. I've been really impressed with it. Everybody's active. People answer trades. It's really solid. So let's start with a couple trades we've seen in there. Actually, it's going to be more than a couple. We've got like 4 trades that went down right before the playoffs. The first one is a big one. There are some big-name guys in this trade. Our buddy Landon Hewell, he pulled off a trade. He went and got Amon-Ra St. Brown and Amari Cooper. He traded Brian Thomas Jr., his first-round pick, a second-round pick, and a third-round pick to do it.
Yep.
Where do you think you are with the value side of this trade? I don't even think there's winners and losers to this trade because we kind of know where the teams are at, but just where are you at with this one?
I really like this trade for both sides. So to clarify, it's a 25 first, a 26 second, and a 27 third. So in this trade, you throw out the 27 third. It doesn't matter at all, right? You're not thinking about that at all. It means nothing. So you're essentially looking at Amon-Ra and Amari Cooper for Brian Thomas, a 25 first and a 26 second. This is the type of trade. If I'm going to trade a top 2 startup round asset, which Amon-Ra St. Brown is, if you're trading a guy like that, you are trading a first or second round asset. I do not like trading those guys for only pick packages. Like I don't want to trade them and not get anyone back in return, unless it's like the draft is about to happen and you know it's the 102 and you know what player is going to be that's different. But at this point, you don't know who that player is going to be, right? You don't know who that pick's going to be. I want to down tier and get a lot on top. And down tier to someone I feel really good about. And when you're trading Amon-Ra, I've said it in the past on this podcast, I'm all in on Brian Thomas Jr. Like, that is a type of guy, that is a perfect target if you are going to down tier from an Amon-Ra, from a CD Lamb, from one of those guys. Brian Thomas Jr. is a perfect target for that. And then getting a first on top and a 26 second, I mean, you got to throw in Amari Cooper, but if you're making this trade, it probably means you're not making the playoffs. And Amari Cooper,
yeah, and the guy getting Brian Thomas Jr.,
you?
he's not in the playoffs, so it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't need him this season, and it makes perfect sense for Landon. Like, he's going into the playoffs. Obviously, you don't hate having Brian Thomas Jr. at all, but at the same time, Trevor Lawrence is hurt. The offense is not playing well. You can't truly trust him.
Oh, no.
Week in and week out. So let me just go get a top 5 receiver.
Yeah, no, I was going to say, so all that considered, I think the value, if I was going to say who got more value, I might slightly lead the Brian Thomas Jr. side, but I'm admittedly very high on him. I might slightly lead that side.
You're probably a little bit higher than consensus.
Yeah, that can be true, and I'm very good with our friend Landon making this trade because you get Amon-Ra St. Brown. At the end of the day, Amon-Ra St. Brown is on your team, and you did it without giving up 2 future firsts. He ended up giving up a first, a second, and a third. I like that better than giving up 2 future firsts on top. I like this trade for both sides. This is how you know you're in a good fantasy league when stuff like this is going down.
Yeah, no, this is a guy backing down, knowing he can't, it's not going to happen this year, recoup some value, still have an elite player with Brian Thomas Jr., and Landon Hewell really trying to make a push to win the league, which I love that too. And it's not like Amon-Ra St. Brown is not going to be a top 5 receiver next year. Like, he's locked in one of the top 5 Dynasty wide receivers. So that there's nothing wrong with bringing him in there. Okay.
Absolute stud.
Another trade that happened in that league. Josh was involved in this one. It's a big trade.
It's a big one. It's a big trade.
Josh trades Lamar Jackson. Let's be clear. Lamar Jackson's the quarterback 1 on the year.
I've heard of him.
Quarterback 1. He quarterback 1. I didn't know if you knew. He's quarterback 1, absolutely dominating. Mm-hmm. Josh did not make the playoffs. In fact, Josh got the 101 in this league. I'm a little bit annoyed about that because I was kind of going the productive struggle route and thought I was going to get the 101. Yeah. Josh ended up beating me out by 3 total points to get it, so that's fun. Yeah. But anyway, he trades Lamar Jackson and gets Drake May, a 2025 first, and a 2026 first.
Right.
That's
Drake May, 25 first, 26 first for Lamar Jackson. Yep. So I like a lot of stuff on both sides of this trade. One thing I like is this. Guys, I know we love as Dynasty players, we love to play the value game. We love to negotiate based on value. It's hard not to, and you should. You absolutely should. At the end of the day, if you have a chance to get a top 3 Dynasty asset on your team, take it. Like, take it. And that's what this guy did. He went out and he got Lamar Jackson. And if this guy wins the championship, it's probably going to be because of Lamar Jackson. And yes, he gave up a lot. I like the haul Drake. I like the haul Josh got back. If you're going to trade a guy like Lamar Jackson, you have to be down tiering to a quarterback you feel good about and getting 2 firsts on top. Yep. You can't make this trade for Drake May, a first, a second, and a third. That doesn't work with this one. You've got to get 2 firsts on top of this, and he was able to do that. At the end of the day, Josh feels good because when was this made? This was made how many
This was 3 days ago.
3 days ago. Okay, so the season was already over at that time. But if this guy wins the championship, it's probably going to be because of Lamar. And, dude, that's what no trade calculator can factor in. Like, no trade calculator, I don't care if you're using basic, keep, trade, cut, or you're using one of these paid ones, Underdog, whatever, your favorite creator. They don't factor into account the boost in chance to win the championship you have. They don't factor that in. And the most valuable thing in fantasy football, it's not Josh Allen, it's not Lamar Jackson, it's not the first overall pick, it's winning the championship. That's the most valuable thing there is. So I love, if you can get the top 1 or 2 asset in Dynasty Fantasy Football, you do it. And that's what this guy did. Yeah.
And that's one of the things, like, why I liked all these trades are from leagues you and I are in, is because we understand the contracts. Like, and I like doing trade reviews in general. They're a lot of fun. And we get people, we'll ask on Instagram and stuff like, hey, send us a trade you did and we'll review it. And it's fun, but you don't know what's happened. Like, if somebody sent this trade in, we would probably say some of the same stuff, but like, I don't know that. Like, the value side is on the Drake May side. Like, Drake May and 2 firsts. Like, I personally, I've seen enough from Drake May to feel confident about him moving forward as a very solid Dynasty asset. I think realistically, he's probably a 3rd round startup pick. If I had to guess off the top of my head, that's probably where he's going to be going this offseason.
Yeah,
So
that's fair.
A 3rd round Dynasty pick and 2 firsts for Lamar. Yeah, I'll down tier that every time. But it's like you said, this guy, he's got a 1st round bye in the playoffs, and he just added Lamar Jackson. You mean to tell me the other playoff teams didn't see that and go, oh, that's not good?
Me?
Yeah, you're one of them.
Yep.
You're in the playoffs in this league. Yeah, that's concerning. So, I love that move for both sides. This next one you did, Landon. You pulled this trade off.
This was me.
Explain. Tell us this one. Tell us this trade.
So, I sent my 25 first and a 26 second, and I got in return Mike Evans, Jonnu Smith, and a 26 third. So essentially, I traded my 25 first for Evans and Smith, Jonnu Smith, and then we just swapped a 2nd and 3rd round pick in 2026, and that got this done. And now, the reason I wanted to make this move, I had looked into sending seconds for some tight ends. This is a tight end premium league, so Jonnu Smith has been dominating in this league, right?
Yeah.
I know he's 29. I know Mike Evans is older too. But the reason I had been looking to sending seconds for some of these tight ends, your Dallas Goddards, but he got hurt. And then I wanted to get Njoku, and Josh owned him, and he wasn't doing that. So I thought, you know what? I really need 2 positions, because what is this? It's a start what? It's like a start a lot. I don't know how many
I think we start 11 or 12 players. 1, 2, 3.
It's a lot. So
Start 11.
Yeah. So I was down to like, do I want to trade my first and get one, like a little bit higher level player, or can I get 2 productive assets with that first? And I was able to pull this trade off. I actually offered this same guy a week ago a second plus to get Jonnu Smith, and he really wasn't interested. And I've said multiple times on this podcast, if I can trade, like let's say I have Mike Evans and Jonnu Smith. If I can trade each one for a second, so you trade them and get 2 seconds, or I could trade both of them and get a first. Let me trade both of them and get a first. That's exactly what this guy did. He really liked the deal. And again, at the end of the day, he wasn't making the playoffs. What's Mike Evans on his team next year if he didn't make the playoffs, right? He goes out, he gets a first. And I'm not guaranteed, like this league is the draft orders for the non-playoff teams is max points 4, and then it's based on where you finish in the playoffs. If I get bounced this week, that's the 107. Like, so he just traded Mike Evans and Jonnu Smith for the 107. That's a great deal.
You do that 10 out of 10
really
times.
Good about that.
Contender or
Right,
not,
you
like in the
feel really
off season,
good.
like yeah. And even if I'm
So
in
it's
the off season, even if I'm not a contender, like if it's the 109, yeah, I'll give you Mike Evans for that.
Yeah. So yeah, absolutely. So he feels good. You know, both these guys have been productive. They're going to be productive over the next few weeks, probably. He gets a first in return, so he did well. And now I feel good about every spot in my lineup. Whereas there were 2 spots up until this point where it was like, man, I really hope Mike Gesicki falls in the end zone, or I'm getting nothing there. Now, every spot in my lineup I feel good about. Like, I have basically all the spots filled. So it's a good deal for both sides, I think. And he gets a second on top. He gets a second and third round pick swap on top, which always feels nice. That's going to be, 8-10 spots. So that feels good too.
That'll be great. Yeah, no, I love this. I saw this trade and like immediately text you like, this is the most Landon Davis trade I've ever seen. You do this
Classic me.
in any trade, any league I'm in with you, and you're making the playoffs. Some kind of move like this happens every single season where you bring in you more than like anybody I know, and it's for good reason. You love the veteran. Like, you don't care if I'm going in the playoffs. I want the vet.
I'm a pretty aggressive fantasy player. I'm a pretty aggressive dynasty player. So I hope it works out. I mean, if it works out and I win the championship, I'd trade 3 first-round picks to win the championship. Now, obviously, no trade guarantees you that, but I'll feel good about this. If I don't, like, I'll feel fine. Like, I know I gave myself a chance.
Yeah, and I did a similar thing in Mully. You said to me a few weeks ago, and I thought it was interesting because it was in Mully, and I was mulling over like I've got to make moves. Like, the team is good, it's got high end firepower, but the flex spots and stuff were sketchy. And you were like, if I could guarantee you win the league, would you trade 3 first-round picks for like somebody like Derrick Henry or something? And that was one that stuck with me. I'm like, at the end, like,
well, okay,
in the offseason, no, this is what I'm saying. They're like, I'm not saying trade 3 first-round picks for Derrick Henry, but if it guarantees you the championship, like guaranteed,
yes,
you do that. At the end of the day, no, you got killed values-wise on that trade, but the championship is there. I'm not saying like you should do that to try to win the championship because it doesn't guarantee you, but like guaranteed, I want you to send the 103, 105, and 107 for Derrick Henry, but you automatically win the championship. I think you do that every single time because it's about winning the championship.
Yeah, just to clarify, it wasn't about Derrick Henry. I did not tell Ben to trade 3 firsts for Derrick Henry.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
I basically said in that league, like, we have a trophy, and I basically said, would you trade 3 first-round picks to get your name on the trophy? Like, just straight up, would you trade it to get your name on the trophy? And it's like, yeah, I want to win the league. So that's what I did here. It was 1 first, obviously not 3. But
let me be clear, he was not encouraging me to trade 3 firsts for Derrick Henry. That's not what was happening.
No, that was not it.
He had Derrick Henry. I had 3 firsts. You want?
People just turned off this podcast.
No. That's really, not what we were saying.
No. But yeah, so I feel good. The guy did well. The guy I traded with, I don't know him, but he did well. So yeah, I think everybody feels good about that one.
No, I like them. And the last trade that we'll talk about that happened in this league, originally I thought this was way worse than originally because I thought it was 3 first-round picks. Instead, I read it wrong. It wasn't. So one guy trades his 26 first, his 25 first, 26 first, his 25 second, and a 27 second. But he brings in Devonta Smith, Kyron Williams, and we'll talk about. I guess it's a 25 third too. I usually don't count those, but it's in 2025. It'll be kind of a mid third, so there's a little bit of value with that.
Yep.
So yeah, I thought it was his 27 first. The first time I looked at this, I said, "Holy crap!" That's brutal. But
3 firsts would have been big boy.
Yeah, but 2 firsts and 2 seconds for Devonta Smith and Kyron Williams, I think that's far more interesting to me. That's really intriguing.
So the way I break it down, I'll essentially just break it down. Would I trade this pick for that player? And I think Kyron Williams is definitely worth more than a first. I would pay a first and a second for Kyron Williams. Absolutely, I would. I think he's worth that. He's got this playoff run, which is what this guy's trading him for, and then next year that he's under contract. So I would trade a first and a second for him. I'm not sure he's a 2 first guy. But then you get Devonta Smith, and Devonta Smith, he's become a little bit of a soft buy. I mean, people are really down on him. He's like in our that mock draft we did a few weeks ago with guys from this league. I took him in the mid-late 5th, and you guys were like, that was a bad pick. I was like, dang, Devonta Smith has really fallen. So he's like a 6th round pick right now, I guess. He's gone a little low, but again, this trade. This guy sent 2 firsts and 2 seconds. He didn't give up any players, and he brings in 2 starting level players, which in a 12-team start 11 is huge. Where you give up a ton of pick value, but you don't give up any players, and you just get to supplement that roster. That's big. But so I think so. If you'll say, I would trade, let's say Kyron in a third. I would trade a first and 2 seconds for Kyron in a third, essentially. Would you make that trade?
If I'm going into the playoffs and I can make that trade to put Kyron in my RB2 or a flex spot, yeah, I do that. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay. So
to be fair, the guy is in the playoffs getting Kyron.
Yeah. Oh, and this dude's team is legit. If you've looked at that team, this dude's team is legit.
I didn't realize until right before the episode. I didn't realize until right before the episode when I looked at it, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" Like it is stacked. No,
this dude's got a squad, and I'm playing him in round 1, so I don't love this. I don't love this.
This was of all the trades that went down, this one scared you the most.
Yes, but so I would trade a first and 2 seconds for Kyron in a third. I think. I would trade a first, a 25 second, and a 27 second for Kyron and a 25 third. I think that's fair. And then that puts a 26 first for Devonta Smith. I mean, I would definitely pay that. I think Devonta Smith's probably a little more valuable than that. But I think Kurt's got a haul here. Or we know the guy who got the picks in this deal. I think he got what he was looking for because he sent me a trade very similar to this, and he was dead set on getting 2 firsts.
As well he should have.
He wound up getting
what he should have been trying to get.
As well he should have. Yes, absolutely. As well he should have. He ended up getting it, and now this guy who got Kyron and Devontae, if he overpaid, he didn't overpay by a ton, right? He may have paid 105 cents on the dollar to get this, which I think we've proven we're fine with that.
You're trying to win the league. 105 cents on the dollar? I'll pay 150 cents if it wins me the league.
Right. And also, it should be said, Kurtz, who made this deal sending Kyron Williams away, he has Jahmyr Gibbs and Devon Achane. So he feels pretty good at running back, right? He feels good there. So getting these picks for him when he already has that stable, it feels really good. I like this trade for both sides, and I don't like it for me. I'm the one I don't like this trade for. Because
the loser of this deal is you. Absolutely.
And Kyron Williams is going to score 3 touchdowns on Thursday night, and I'm going to send Kurtz an angry text, and that'll be that.
Yeah, no, that's devastating for you.
That is devastating. But anyway.
We have 2 more trades. This is pivoting to a different league. Those are all like the major ones that happened in our Scramble Drill League. I really liked all of. I wasn't a part of any of them because my team was trash. I'm out of the playoffs. I got the 102. So I wasn't a part of any of that. But it was really fun to see. Like, it doesn't matter the league. I like seeing a trade completed and drop in the group chat. That's always fun. No matter what happens, it's fun.
Right, and it's a good league. So even if you think, oh man, this guy got way more value than this guy in one league. Well, first off, all those were pretty close. And then second off, like, it's a good league. You're not going to have a bunch of garbage in that league. Like, you're going to have good trades. There's good players. There's smart players. So it's fun being in a league like that.
All the guys we know personally are in that. They're good Dynasty players. And then the guys we don't know are listeners of this podcast. Like, if you listen to this podcast, we are not a big podcast.
You are in deep.
That means you are a absolute degenerate if you listen to this podcast.
You're in deep. Yeah, you're in
we're
deep.
We're not one of those guys like, oh yeah, I listen to the fantasy footballers in my car or whatever. Like, no, you are a degenerate.
No. You're grinding if you're listening to us. You are. And
let me be very clear, I appreciate everybody who listens to us so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
All right, so let's pivot to Log. One of our OG main leagues. A few, not a ton happened at the deadline realistically in that one. But a couple big trades went down. Which one? I'm trying to see which ones we wanted to talk about again. I think there was two we wanted to highlight. Landon made one.
The one Huell made?
Yeah.
Yep.
Landon made
the
one.
one I made.
Let's do Landon's first. He traded Mike Evans and DK. No. He got Mike Evans and DK Metcalf. Yep. He's a first round buy, so like teams really stacked. Gets Mike Evans and DK Metcalf, trades away Troy Franklin, his 26 first, and 2 26 seconds. His own and somebody else's that he already had.
Yeah. I really like this for Landon.
Yeah. Now, you and I, it's kind of been a more recent thing that I'm kind of coming around on because I've always been super aggressive. Like, I'll trade my first round pick. I don't care how many years from now, I'll trade the first round pick to get the player now. I've kind of mellowed, and I know you have too, of like, I don't love trading my first. Like, in my 2025 first, especially at this time of year, I don't mind trading that because I know kind of what it is. My 26 first, I'm done with that. I don't like trading my 26 first right now that much at all. But for something like this, I think this is a situation where it's appropriate.
I can do this one. Yeah, I can get behind this one. Mike Evans, popular guy on the trade block this time of year. I guess because he's ancient and everybody's like,
yeah, but he scores 20 points a game.
Yeah, at the end of the day, yeah, I like this one. Troy Franklin, he's a guy that you want on your roster, but he's a dart throw. He hasn't played that much, really. He wasn't even dressing out earlier in the year, and now he's not blowing anyone's socks off, but he's a dart throw. Like, you want him on your roster. But a 26 first and 2 26 seconds, I would have liked a little more. Now, let me add some context. To this. This guy who got the picks has a ton of 25 firsts. Like, he's got like 5. And I was texting him. I was trying to get Alvin Kamara from him a few weeks ago, which I ended up doing. But he told me straight up, I don't want any 25 firsts. I got too many. And I didn't want to trade my 26 first. So we just had to pivot from that. But he didn't want any 25 first. That's why, like, he settled for 26. You're like, why did he get 26? He could have got 25 for these guys. Well, he already had so many. So that's why he did that. But I think DK's worth a 26 first plus. Like, DK's worth more than that. And then you're looking at...
You break it down go ahead.
Let's say DK's worth he's worth more than Troy Franklin in a 26 first. He's probably worth a 26 first and a 26 second. Wouldn't you say, DK?
I would say so.
He's like a 5th round startup pick. He's a 5th, maybe 6th, but 5th
I'm a little bit
pick.
lower on DK than I think consensus is, but it's not that, like, I'm saying DK's bad by any means. Like, he's a good asset to own.
Right. He's a freak. He's not super old. Geno throws it a million times a game. So I would pay a 26 first and a 26 second, especially on a heavy contending team like Landon is for him. And then you're looking at Troy Franklin in a second.
Yeah, I was breaking it down like Troy Franklin and the 26 first for DK. Like, I feel like that's fair.
Yeah, I'm saying yeah. And then you're looking at, if you do it my way, if you do a first and a second, a 26 first and second for DK, and then Troy Franklin and a 26 second for Mike Evans, that's fine. I mean, he probably got close to fair value, but I prefer the Huel side on this just because, or the Landon side on this just because he's got a chance to win the championship now. And, you know, he didn't completely break the bank. He gave up a 26 first, which I don't love, but he didn't completely break the bank. I'm fine with this.
No, and he's not going to get killed on value. Like, it's not like he only got Mike Evans back in the deal, and if Mike Evans turns to dust next season, it's worthless. Like, DK's not going anywhere next year, and Mike Evans really helps you win the league this year. I have to play Landon this week in the semifinals, so I'm not stoked about that. And he got Mike Evans and DK, so there's that. I like the deal a lot for him.
Yeah, and like I said, Troy Franklin, a lot of people liked his prospect profile. A lot of people like that, and a lot of people like the landing spot to Denver. Taking him a while to catch on. He still could be something in the future, but at this point, he's a dart throw. So, Landon, I'm sure he didn't lose sleep parting ways with him.
No, not at all. If he did, he's not playing fantasy right. All right, we have to go back a little ways for this next one. This one happened before the first round of the playoffs. This league's a little bit different. Some teams start in week 15. This one starts in week 14 because we have a 2-week championship. So week 14 is the playoff. You made this actually probably a week or two beforehand. You wanna explain this one to us?
Yeah. So I traded C.J. Stroud and Michael Pittman, and I got back Jordan Love and DJ Moore. So you look at the trade and you think Jordan Love's a touch less valuable than C.J. Stroud is right now. DJ Moore's a little bit more valuable than Michael Pittman is right now. It's close to a wash. Maybe you come down on either side depending on – because Stroud's a guy who people value differently. Depending on where you value Stroud, you might come down on a different spot on that trade. But it was pretty straightforward. Quarterback and wide receiver for quarterback and wide receiver. And really the deciding factor in the move was – and so this tiebreaker I'm going to give, you only use it in specific situations. This is not a general thing you use in your dynasty trades. But it was enough for me. The value was close enough for me where I could make this a tiebreaker. Is I was going to have to play a playoff matchup in week 14, and C.J. Stroud was on bye. And I saw an opportunity to move to a guy who is maybe you value him the same, maybe you think it's a little dip in Jordan Love. And it wound up not working too great. Jordan Love got 16 points, which is fine. But I was going to get 0.
And for context, you also had Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I had Jaden Daniels in that league. Those are my two quarterbacks, were Stroud and Daniels. And it's
elite combo, by the way.
A great combo, and I'm going to get 0 points from them in the playoffs. I can't do that. I didn't want to trade Daniels because his value was so high. I was like, I'm not going to trade that guy just because of one bye week. But Stroud and Love were close enough where I felt like, hey, if I can get a boosted receiver, I'll make this deal if I'm going to get points in my lineup for the playoffs. Again, I got beat out, so it didn't work out in the end. But it's a deal I would make today. If I hadn't made that deal and I'm out of the playoffs and it was offered to me today, I'd trade Pittman and Stroud for Love and Moore now. So it's only in very specific circumstances, though, you're thinking about that minute of details when you're making trades. Typically, you want to just make them it didn't matter. It doesn't matter when their buy is. It doesn't matter what the situation is. I would make this trade regardless of what's going on. But that one was close enough. I felt I could make that exception.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's still a little bit of C.J. Stroud's rookie season in people's minds, and I'm not saying he shouldn't. He's still obviously a first-round startup pick in a Superflex league. But he really hasn't been out of this world this year to the point where Jordan Love, not even probably or can, it's honestly likely he outscores him most weeks. So I'm Okay, they're pretty close, honestly, in my mind. I think they both should be going, at the 1-2 turn in most Superflex leagues. So that's really fair, but I like DJ Moore a whole lot more than Michael Pittman, so that's kind of an easy one for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the point is just you don't want to be using things like playoff bye weeks to determine a lot of trades, but that was
unless
like I also have
both
Nico
of them
Collins.
are on bye.
Yeah, right. And I also have Nico Collins. I wasn't looking to trade him because he was on bye, right? But I felt like Stroud to Love was fine to do if I'm getting a little boosted receiver.
It's very minor.
That was a
down
kind
tier.
of an interesting situational. Yeah, that was a kind of an interesting situational trade. That one, but
it works for the other guy too.
It worked out and it didn't. Oh yeah, it works great for Jake.
I mean, Jake got the best player in the deal is still probably C.J. Stroud. So he wasn't making the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Go get C.J. Stroud. That's fine.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
So let's move past the trades. I love talking about trades. It's a lot of fun to break those down.
It is fun. It is a lot of fun. I love scheming up trades. Even if like somebody says no to them, I love scheming them up and seeing like what you need, what I need, and guys, stop trying to win every trade. Like if a trade makes your opponent better, but it makes you better as well, and you like what you're getting, make the trade. Right? Don't be bickering over a 26th third. Okay.
Yeah, no, I can't stand the stuff that the deal breakers like that. Like, I'm sorry, but Troy Franklin should not be a deal breaker in a trade. He shouldn't be.
No, unless you're trading for Roman Wilson. Troy Franklin is not a deal breaker.
I'll say Roman Wilson should not be a deal breaker in a trade. No, not at all.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let's talk about some guys. We got a few listed here of guys that can increase in value going into and during the offseason. We got a few. Some of these are kind of obvious options. Some of them, I think, warrant kind of a little bit of a conversation. So, Landon, I don't know which guys on here you want to start with. I can start with one if we want.
Yeah.
Or how do you want to do it?
Yes,
so I'll start with T. Higgins, the guy I've harped on this podcast for since the beginning of it. But I'll stand here and still plant my flag, and I think my reasons are warranted because I like T. Higgins at price right now because I do not think he dips in value whatsoever. If he somehow or another re-signs with the Bengals, great. He stays right where he's at wide receiver 18 to 20-ish in Dynasty. If he goes to a bad team and is the wide receiver 1, he's going to stay wide receiver 18 to 20-ish in Dynasty. Or there's the other options where he signs with a good team and he jumps to wide receiver 10 or 11. So I am saying T. Higgins is going to jump up no matter what in value, but
I think no matter where he goes. I mean, there's the only exceptions would be like, I mean, if he goes to the Dolphins, his value would go down. That'd be weird. Like if he goes to the Vikings, like if he goes to another team with 2 established receivers, then his value dips. Other than that, anywhere he goes.
But he's not going to do that because he's going to go somewhere to get a bag.
No, he won't. I'm making a point. He's just anywhere he goes, he's going up. If he goes to the Patriots, he's going up. And if he goes to even somewhere with bad quarterback play, like if he goes to the Saints,
the Raiders,
maybe not. He won't. He might not go up to the Saints.
What about like the Raiders or somebody?
My point is, Dynasty, we love new. If he goes somewhere with a quarterback that can just support one fantasy reliable asset, he's going to go up in value. I really think T. Higgins, by the time your rookie draft happens, T. Higgins will be more valuable than he is right now.
Yep. And I guess
he's just going to go up.
We'll start with that. And I should have mentioned this at the beginning of this segment. Is we're kind of factoring these guys going up in value, factoring it up until the rookie draft, not past that to the beginning of the season. Now I agree with you. T. Higgins I think goes up no matter what, even after the rookie draft. But the rookie draft changes a whole lot of minds and things, so that's a different conversation.
so much.
But yeah, no, I agree. And the current reports I see are that a story came out yesterday that the Patriots are supposed to be looking at going all in on T. Higgins. If T. Higgins goes and has Drake May as his quarterback, first of all, that trade Josh made in the Scramble Drill League looks awesome with T. Higgins as his receiver. And T. Higgins getting 150 targets from Drake May, that's going to be awesome. I love that.
Yep.
Okay.
Landon, well, he'll get 100 because he'll miss 4 games. But
that's very true. That is the only caveat is you got he'll
he's gonna get hurt.
He'll miss 4 and he's going to leave 1 or 2 early.
Yeah, absolutely. But.
Okay. Landon, who do you want to start next? There's a couple interesting here.
We got a little combo here I want to talk about.
Okay.
I feel like people know these two were going to go up in value, but I feel like they're not managing their teams like they are.
They're not acting
Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. Yeah, they're not acting like they're going to go up, but it makes complete sense that they will. Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, they're going to get a new coach. And there's a couple different directions the Bears could go. They could be, their culture is kind of terrible, right? It's just not been good. A lot of moving parts there. So they could bring in a Mike Vrabel, right? They could bring in a guy like that who's tough and hard-nosed and fixes the culture, right? And even that, like, we wouldn't love it because he's not the offensive genius type, but just a better culture is going to help Caleb. And I guarantee you he'll draft offensive linemen. So that's big. They need that. Or the Bears could go the route of a Ben Johnson or another guy who's like an offensive genius. And if that happens, man, Caleb doesn't have to play another game. If they hire an offensive coach, his value goes up. I promise you. People are going to see this, and they're going to say, oh, he got this guy. Oh, he got this guy. Look what he did with this quarterback. Look what he did with him. And his value is going to go up because people are going to love that. And then Rome just kind of benefits off that. Like, I just have Rome just because, obviously Keenan will be gone, and then he's solidified as the wide receiver 2 there. And then whatever coach they bring in, my point, people are going to find reasons to like it. Caleb Williams is still a super talent. He's still, I know the year Jaden has had. Jaden's been awesome. I think if the Bears could redo it, I think they would take Caleb again. He's that type of talent. We've already forgotten about that. I think he'll go up this offseason once the Bears get a new coach. Yeah.
No, I completely agree. And I think the Bears bring in an offensive guy. I really they've got to do something. They can't.
Yeah.
They cannot ruin Caleb Williams like they have every other quarterback they drafted.
They can't.
They cannot do it. They're going to bring in an offensive coach. I don't necessarily know that if it is Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams isn't going to jump in value. He's going to skyrocket in value. Him and Rome. If it's Ben Johnson they bring in, it'll be ridiculous. I don't think Ben Johnson goes to the Bears because I don't think he would do that to Dan Campbell. I think he and Dan Campbell like each other too much to go to an in-division opponent. But maybe he does. Maybe he does.
Yeah. Yeah, a few zeros on the end of a contract.
No, that's
changes loyalty a little bit.
That is true. But still, I think no matter what, they get an offensive guy, and it's like you said, if they bring in an offensive guy, it doesn't matter. He's gonna go up.
Yeah, and if they were to get Ben Johnson, they get like a double bonus of we take you in our division, Detroit Lions, who's running the division right now, we're going to take your best offensive mind. Like, that's a double. You help yourself and you hurt the Lions. So they're going to be definitely interested.
Oh, yeah.
Whether he says yes, that's a different story. But
we'll see. I think Ben Johnson's holding out for the Bengals. Maybe I'm just saying that because I want Joe Burrow to have a good coach. We'll see. So this one...
Awesome. Gosh, that would be so cool.
This one we put on here, I didn't think it would be as big a conversation as it was, but we started talking before the episode, and I think this is an absolutely fascinating player to talk about. Sam Darnold. I think no matter what, he's going to at least maintain value going in the offseason. No matter what.
Where is he going? I have not kept up.
I
with
have
his
not looked
value.
either. I have not looked either.
Where is he going right now? I am very intrigued to know this.
Are you pulling up?
Because
Keep
I mean,
Trade Cut?
dude, he's been. I'm gonna go there. Yeah.
Not saying we
he
live and die by
is
Keep Trade Cut rankings, but that's just community opinion.
No, we don't. We definitely don't. So right now he's QB 24. Yeah, he's going up.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna go up from there. They have him as the 88th asset in Superflex.
Dude, I mean, I
88th
feel like
asset.
it's possible that Sam Darnold is a 5th round-ish startup pick next offseason. I don't know if maybe that. It depends on where he signs.
That might be a touch. Huh?
It depends on where he signs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
no matter what, he's getting a contract somewhere. No matter what.
Yeah. I could definitely see him going in the 6th. Now he's the 88th player here, so that's the 6th round will be like pick 72 is the end of the 6th round. So they have him going in like the 8th right now. I could definitely see him going 6th or 7th. Now, like, he's played so well. They're 10-2. Up until 2 weeks ago, I was saying there's obviously no conversation what they do. They're not going to extend him, right? They're going to let him walk, and J.J. McCarthy's going to be the guy. Dude, at a certain point, like, they're at least having a conversation now. Now, the conversation may be short-lived, and they may say, we're still going to let him walk. But he has played himself into, we got to have a conversation whether we're going to keep this guy or not. And he's certainly played himself into some team will sign up for Sam Darnold. 100%. Yeah. He's going to get 3 years.
Yeah,
he's going to get 3 years somewhere.
And we talked about this. What helps him a lot is it's not a good quarterback class. There's 2 quarterbacks who probably go top 10. I don't even know if they necessarily should, but given the market, they probably will. And Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward. But there's like 8 teams that need quarterback. So Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward feel maybe the Giants or the Raiders maybe we're projecting draft spots there. There's still so many teams that are going to need quarterback. So many teams. And Sam Darnold. Saints, the Jets. I mean, if he goes back to the Jets.
The Jets. I think I had that take on a podcast a few weeks ago. That's where he's going. He's going to be the Jets quarterback.
No, the Jets. But
they
like
have
so
J.J.
many
McCarthy
teams.
going. They have J.J. McCarthy ranked as QB 18 right now, and they've got him 25 spots ahead of him overall. They got him at the 53rd overall asset on Keep Trade Cut.
I mean, that's about where he was going beginning of the offseason.
They took J.J. in the first round, right? Like, obviously, they have all the reason in the world to let Sam walk, keep J.J., and wherever Sam's like the QB 7 right now, QB 8 right now, wherever he goes, he's not going to have JJ and Kevin O'Connell and Jordan Addison and TJ and Aaron Jones. It's going to be a worse situation. But has he proven that next year he could be the QB 17, 16, even on a bad team? Like, if you're in a 12-team Superflex, sign me up for the QB 16.
Absolutely.
Sign me up for that. If he has a 3 or 4 year deal, I don't. Yeah, I think he could go up. And by the way, just now that I've pulled this up, oh my gosh, guess who the QB 23 is? QB 23.
Daniel Jones.
Just give me a guess.
Daniel Jones.
Dak Prescott.
Wow.
Can we go buy Dak Prescott, please?
Wow.
QB 23?
23?
What are we doing?
I know he's
QB
hurt, but my gosh.
23. Brother. He should be on this list. Well, he kind of is on this list, but my gosh. QB 23? That's crazy.
I mean, we were talking about Trevor Lawrence before he got hurt, like as bad as he's playing, and people are like trading him for, nothing right now. Do we trade a late first? And you said if Trevor Lawrence is the QB 15, like for the next 2 or 3 years, are you telling me you don't trade a late first for that? Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
If you can get Sam Darnold at QB 17, and he's a lot cheaper than Trevor Lawrence, I can tell you that.
Yeah. People forget, like, how valuable the QB 15 is in a 12-team Superflex. Look, yes, everybody would love to hit on the guy who turns into QB 6. Would love to hit on, like, what they did with Sam Darnold this year, but on a rookie or something. Everybody would love to have 2 top 10 quarterbacks in a 12-team Superflex. it just doesn't grow on trees. You can't just go get it. And there's a lot of teams right now in your league that had 2 quarterbacks. One of them got hurt, and they're playing either a whatever backup gets to play, whatever backup quarterback gets to play this week, or they're playing a flex player, and that's not a good place to be in. So the QB 17 has value. It does. It has value, and he's going to get a 3-year contract, so he's going to go up.
Get a Baker-esque contract probably.
By the way, people they're saying are value adjacent to Dak Prescott right now. Keon Coleman.
Oh.
Straight up.
Oh.
Keon Coleman. Now, George Kittle's an interesting one. I like George Kittle. Like, that seems pretty close to me. McCaffrey has fallen a lot, too. He seems pretty close to me. But then Tank Dell and Xavier are worthy for Dak Prescott.
I would trade
low, dude.
I don't know about Kittle or McCaffrey. It would be more team needs kind of situational. But Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman, and what was the other guy you said?
Tank Dell.
I trade all 3 of those guys right now, straight up, immediately, no matter what league I'm in, for Dak Prescott.
You can get him at this price. You can get him for 2 seconds, for sure. You can get him for 2 seconds. You can get him for a 26 and 27 second. I guarantee you, in some leagues, if people are using these prices.
I trade a late first for Dak. Any day of the week, I trade a late first for Dak.
Anyways,
that's crazy. But yeah, no, it's kind of a little bit of T. Higgins. Like, I don't think his value goes down necessarily. Like, he's going to get either a contract with a new team where you're going to have value insulated there, like a guaranteed start for at least a year, so he's going to be fine there. Or, I mean, if he somehow, like, if he wins a playoff game and the Vikings bring him back, dude what do you want me to say at that point? Like,
yeah.
So
people would crush the Vikings for that, for drafting McCarthy and then doing that, but I mean,
he's winning.
He's played so well. He's played so well.
And the NFL is the same as fantasy.
It's a conversation.
It's about winning. At this point, I'm winning right now. Why?
And if I was Minnesota, I would let him walk, and I would go with the kid. But maybe they see it differently. Maybe Kevin O'Connell's fallen in love.
I mean, Kevin O'Connell has said before, what's the thing he values the most in quarterbacks? Accuracy. He has said that. He said the thing he values more than anything with the quarterback is accuracy. Kevin O'Connell is such a good schemer and has the answers to everything in his playbook. He is not worried about somebody like having. I mean, obviously, it would be great to have a Mahomes or a guy like that. He doesn't need that. He's kind of like Kyle Shanahan. Like, I need you to put the ball in this spot. If you can do that, that's all I want.
Yeah. Yep. And let's not forget this, okay? I know they took a quarterback in the first round. I'll mention this. Do you remember what that draft room looked like when the Falcons took Michael Penix?
They were very excited.
The Falcons were excited. I'm talking about the Vikings. Do you remember what the Vikings draft room looked like when the Falcons took Penix? The Vikings were pissed because the Vikings clearly wanted Penix. McCarthy was not the guy McConnell loved the most. It just based on that. Like, he'll say all the right things. This is who he always wanted. Everybody knows that was not the case. McCarthy, they took him in the first round, traded up to get him one spot, but it wasn't like this was their savior the whole time. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. I'm excited to see what they do. I think they let Darnold walk, but I'm excited.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a fascinating story the rest of the season to pay attention to. I put another quarterback on here because, I mean, I feel like he's earned his starting at least another season. After getting benched, Bryce Young, what more can you say? I don't think he loses his job this offseason.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He gets helped out a little bit by it not being a great draft class and this little renaissance. I mean, he's played fine. I think it might be being a little overstated how good he's been. Right? He's been fine. He's been like he has not been the reason the Panthers are losing. We'll say that.
No.
He's been fine. I think he's probably their starter week 1 next year.
People get more excited too because the Panthers really don't have a whole lot to work with either. So being fine with the weapons the Panthers have is pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, he's bought himself next year, I think. So I think as long as the Panthers don't draft or sign anyone, he's going to go up in value because people know at least he's got this year. Yep. And he's still young, still on rookie deal, still got all that. So
Dave Canales quarterback
seems
whisperer.
to be really good at this.
Quarterback whisperer.
He seems to be really good at this. Yeah. So, yeah, I like that one too. He'll probably go up.
All right. There's only a couple more names we got on here. We put specifically injured wide receivers: Chris Godwin, Brandon Ayuk, Rashee Rice. We know they're going to go up. We know they're going to go up.
That's one of the, for a rebuild, that's one of the biggest cheat codes there is. There's when you're playing with really smart, good players, there's not many cheat codes. Injured players are. Injured wide receivers and, like we just talked about with Dak, injured quarterbacks, or J.J. McCarthy, same thing with him. Like, they just go up in value. They just do. So,
but I feel like specifically, Rashee Rice is a little bit interesting case because he was so good at the beginning of the season. People are less willing to part with him. I've tried to buy him a few times in leagues, and the guys just completely shut you down. They're like, he's going to be top 5 next season. I'm like, okay, I mean, fair enough. I can't refute you there. But specifically guys like Godwin and Ayuk, I feel like are cheat codes because they're very good players, don't get me wrong, but they weren't at the top of the list before they got hurt. So, especially after like them being on IR for a month or so, the owner, especially if they're contenders, really going to want to just put some points in their lineup. So you can get Ayuk for relatively cheap right now, and especially in a 12-team league, to be able to stack your flexes with guys like Godwin and Ayuk, that's huge for next season.
Yeah. I think probably a lot of contenders have already sold them, those two, because they've been hurt for so long. I don't care what any rankings say. I don't care what any trade calculator says. Dude, people are giving Brandon Ayuk away. People are giving them away.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. People just don't want him. I know he was not good this year. Maybe he was out of shape, right? He came in late. He was holding out. I don't know.
He missed all of
People
training
were
camp.
giving him away. Yeah. He's a guy who, you can get it as a throw-in. That's not a joke. I've seen him not like a rookie dart throw-in, like a little bit better of a throw-in, but you can get him for really cheap in a lot of leagues right now.
Yeah. I think I went and got him.
And he's going to go up because
in our scramble drill.
You did from me. He's going to go up probably. We don't need to get into that trade, but I think that one was fine too. But he's going to go up probably because you're going to see Brock Purdy get paid. There's a little bit of a decision there, but he's probably going to get paid, and then that might mean Debo gets traded.
And Debo's having a rough season right now anyway.
Rough season. I predicted he would get a lot of work with McCaffrey and Jordan Mason out. He didn't. So I was wrong there. Maybe, are we on washed watch for Debo?
We're getting there. Did you see the tweet that he made and he got community noted? Did you see that?
I did see that.
That was rough for Debo. That was rough. He deleted the post, but don't think we didn't see that, Debo.
As a society, there's not that many things we agree on. I think people basically agree they love community notes.
They're awesome.
People love them.
Yeah.
We need to chill at times. at times, they go a little too... They hit home a little too much at times. And this was one of those situations where it was like, dang.
He said, I'm not struggling. I'm not getting the ball. The community's note said he leads the team in drops. He is struggling.
He is struggling. That is crazy.
God.
That's crazy.
Anyway.
I like community notes as well. They need to ease up a bit.
That one was tough. But he put out the tweet, so that's on him.
Point is, Ayuk injured players are. You might have missed your window to buy them because contenders have been selling them for weeks now. But if you got a chance to get one, good.
Okay, last guy here that really warrants a conversation, and we'll wrap up. Dalton Kincaid. I feel like people are getting out on Dalton Kincaid. He has not had the season people wanted. He has not had that at all.
No.
Granted, some of it was from injuries.
He's been hurt.
Some of it's from injuries, but even before the injury, though, he was not producing.
Yeah, because it's kind of like the seas parted this offseason. Stephon Diggs is out the door. Dalton Kincaid, my gosh, he's going to get 11, 12 targets a game, and it has not shaken out that way. Where is he ranked right now? I'm talking about just like, I'm not talking about like Dynasty ranked. I'm talking about like
he's the tight end 26.
Wise. Whew.
But I mean, look at
in
his
PPR,
game logs.
He was averaging
game logs before he got
points
hurt.
A game, dude.
He only had in full PPR. He only had 1, 2, 3 games with over 10 points, and in those 3 games, he had 13 points, 11 points, and 13 points. So he was over 10 points barely.
And he scored a touchdown in 2 of those games. Ugh. So obviously, people are getting out on him. He's not been great. He was a first-round pick 18 months ago. Like, this is a guy who has a lot of talent. You're not super worried about the target competition in Buffalo. I know Shakir's came on. They drafted Keon Coleman, but I don't have a great explanation for why he wasn't producing, but I just believe he's going to be better than he was, and he is super cheap right now.
You can get him for dirt cheap. He's the Brandon Ayuk of tight ends. Like, you can probably get him for next to nothing. Like, you can get him in as not necessarily a throw in, but like far less than you would think to try to get a deal happen.
Right. Yeah. So I just think he's going to be better. This isn't like what's going to happen in the offseason. This is how he gets better. It's not that conversation for Kincaid. It's just I think he's too low right now. I get it. It is so frustrating when you have high hopes for players and they don't produce. It is so frustrating. But yeah, he's. You can get him for so cheap. I think it's worth it at this price.
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, I think that's all we got. Landon, any other notes or side notes you want to throw in here?
That's all we got.
No, that's it. Excited for the rest of the playoffs. Good luck to you in the Scramble Drill playoffs.
Yes.
I will be in the Mully and Log playoffs. I need it.
Mully, yes.
Need it. I would love to win Log. I would love to win Log. That would be awesome. But I've won Log 2 out of 3 years in a row. I'm the reigning champion. It would be awesome. It would be awesome to win back to back. But I want Mully more than anything else. I want that one. That's the prize.
It feels good.
That's the one I want.
It feels real good to win that league.
That is the one I want.
It feels real good.
All right. Yeah. We will give you guys an update. We'll see how all of our playoff standings went a little bit later on. I don't know what we've got in store next week. We will see at that time. But until then, have a great time. Good luck in the playoffs, and we will see you next time.